Episode 2, The Children We Sent Back. Trigger warning. This episode discusses child sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, neglect, and childhood trauma. I need to tell you a story. But this one isn't easy. Last night, I watched a documentary called The Nightmare Upstairs: What Happened to Ty and Bryn. I sat down expecting to watch another heartbreaking true crime story. Instead, I found myself watching bits and pieces of my own childhood. There are documentaries you watch, and then there are documentaries that somehow watch you back. Every time those kids tried to reach out for help, I already knew what was going to happen. Not because I had already seen this documentary, but because I had lived it. I had lived it. One question that kept playing over and over in my mind, and you probably already know, and you've probably asked it too. Why? Why is it that when children finally find the courage to tell someone, they're sent right back to the people hurting them? It's a question I asked as a little girl, and it's a question I still have to ask today. Only now, I'm asking it as a mother too. Because becoming a parent changes everything, or at least it's supposed to. You stop wondering why no one rescued you, and you start wondering how anyone could have looked into the eyes of a terrified child and decided they weren't worth saving. They weren't worth protecting. I was 10 years old the first time I tried to tell someone. Do you know how much courage that takes? Children don't usually tell the first time. They think about it. They relive it over and over in their head. They rehearse the words in their head over and over and time again, trying to get it just right to make sure that somebody might just believe them. And they wonder the whole time if they're going to be believed. They wonder if they're going to get in trouble. They wonder if it's somehow their fault. Then one day they finally find that courage to speak up. I did. Nothing changed. When I was 11, I tried again, still nothing. And at 12, I was still trying, but I was losing hope. I remember what it felt like climbing back into the same vehicle, knowing, and that pit in your stomach feeling as you realize you're going to be taken right back to the same place that you've been begging never to return to. As a child, that breaks something inside of you. Because if adults don't think it's bad enough to stop, you begin to believe maybe you deserved it. Maybe this isn't abuse. Maybe you're the problem. Those are lies that can take a lifetime to unlearn, and a lot of therapy too. People tend to hear, I ran away 3 times, and the words that they really hear, she's a runaway. She's a problem maker. I hear something completely different. I hear she was trying to survive. Children don't leave everything that they've ever known because they're just being rebellious. They leave because somewhere deep inside, their brain has decided that sleeping outside in the elements and in the wilderness or anywhere else feels safer than going back home. In my case, Franklin County, Alabama, Child and Family Services, they failed me multiple times. And I'm not sharing that because I'm looking for revenge. I'm not. I'm sharing it because accountability still matters. Children cannot save themselves. They depend on the systems that were created to protect them. And when those systems fail, children pay the price over and over and over again. It wasn't until I myself barricaded and then later ran away for the third time that someone finally listened, and that took a fight in and of itself. I was 13 years old now. I was placed with strangers, people who had never met me, people who didn't owe me anything, yet they decided they were going to make sure that I stayed safe. At 13, I finally felt safe. And that felt like winning. And maybe in some ways it was. I mean, I survived. I thrived. But survival shouldn't have been the victory. Safety. Safety before the age of 13 should have been. Motherhood has really changed the way I look at every single part of my own childhood. When I was 13, I thought surviving was enough. Today, when I look at my own daughters and my sons, I picture someone looking into their eyes, hearing their cries for help, and just sending them right back. And I can't imagine. I simply cannot imagine somebody doing that to my child. I wouldn't allow that. And that's probably one of the parts that hurt the most. Not just what happened to me, but knowing it could have been stopped by so many adults. It wasn't just Franklin County, Alabama that failed me. It's many adults there. There's something survivors don't talk about enough. We spend years rebuilding our lives, years learning to trust again, years trying to convince ourselves that we deserved better. Meanwhile, the people who hurt us often continue living life as if nothing ever happened. No repercussions, no justice. And that realization can hurt almost as much as the abuse itself. So if you're watching today, if you're listening today, and if you were that child, the one who told, the one who was not believed, the one who kept hoping someone would finally step in, someone would finally hear you, finally see you. I need you to hear this. I see you. You were never too much. You weren't difficult. You weren't dramatic. You weren't broken. You aren't broken. You were a child asking for safety, and every child deserves that. And if you're an adult watching today, please believe children. Ask one more question. Pay attention when their behaviors suddenly change. Children rarely have the words to explain trauma or abuse, but they almost always find ways to show it. Listen. Pay attention, watch, and believe. If my story accomplishes anything, I hope it's this. that one child is believed, that one adult decides to act, that one life is changed because someone refused to look away, because every child deserves to be believed the first time, not the third time, not after they have barricaded themselves, not after they have run away or taken any dramatic measures. The first time. Thank you for trusting me with another piece of my story. This is Beautifully Unhinged, where healing doesn't begin by pretending it never happened. It begins the moment we finally tell the truth.